Hello and welcome. Happy New Year. This is the start of my 7th year here in France, and I've got a lot going on. And today I want to share with you what those things are and how I plan to tackle them and be effective in getting them done. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Patricia Brooks, and I'm an American living in the south of France. And I help people who are ready to start the next chapters of their lives living and thriving in a foreign country. I help them to move through the fear and self-doubt and the overwhelm that accompany a big life change like moving abroad. And on this channel, I talk about my life in France, about moving abroad, and how to move through that fear and that self-doubt and to build that confidence and courage so that you can experience the kind of life you know you were meant to. Today, I'm going to talk about my goals for 2025. Now, this isn't really a list of New Year's resolutions. These are some things that I have already got in motion and that I want to make sure that I make progress on. And I've got a lot on my plate. And so the way I'm going to share this with you is I'm going to go through the list of things that I've got going on. And I know that new things will pop up. I will be inspired to do this or to do that later on in the year. But in order to get these things done, I need to look at what I've got going on. I need to prioritize them, which are the most important things for me to get done, and kind of slice and dice them into quarterly increments so that I can have the success at the end of this year that I would like to see. All right. And I know that a lot of people have asked me, how do you get so much done, so much accomplished? I was a project manager in corporate America. So setting a project plan and timelines and prioritization is not something that I am a stranger to. But when you are self-employed and you don't have to get up at a certain time, it still can be challenging to get it all done. And so today we're going to dig into how I'm going to do that. So first off, I want to share with you the things I've got on my list. And I've broken those down into different buckets. The first bucket for me is personal development. Now, if you know me at all, personal development is a core value of mine that I hold dear. I am living here in France because I want to grow personally. I thought that moving to France would help me stretch myself. Learning the language would really definitely do that as well. And it has worked for me. So in that first bucket, last year, I had decided that I was going to take a French exam, the DELF exam, Diplôme approfondi langue française. And I had decided I was going to take it in December. And I wanted to take it at the C1 level. Now, a C1 level is a native speakers level. And by Q4, I was recognizing that I would fall short if I decided to take the exam in December. And so I gave myself an extra 3 months till March of 2025, which now is right around the corner, to prepare and feel less stressed about it. Well, the end of 2024, I assessed where I was and recognized that maybe I could be successful at a C1 level. It would take a lot of work and it would really stress me out. And it's a stress that I don't necessarily need in my life. I'm taking this exam so that I can see what level I am and have this count for when I decide to apply for French citizenship. And at this point, I only need a B2 level, which is one level below C1. And I think I'll be able to manage that. And so end of last year, I said, Patricia, just do the B2, give yourself a break. And it's going to be hard enough as it is, and go for that. So that is on the list. And that just requires a lot of things because there's a reading component and there's a speaking component and there's a writing component. And there's an oral comprehension component. So there's a lot that needs to be studied. So I'm doing that. I'm writing, or I'm in the process of finding a literary agent for my memoir with the working title of Beyond A Bird in the Hand. My memoir is about how a middle-aged Black woman could defy rhyme and reason and quit her stable job and move to France, a country where she knew no one, where I would struggle to understand why I would do such a foolhardy thing, and with the cultural differences and getting set up in a new country. But despite all of that, I found a new identity, and I embraced the freedom that I had to be myself that I found here in France, and uncovered the real reason that I would throw caution to the wind and move to France and create a new life for myself here. And so that's what that book is about. And I am looking for a literary agent to help me get that book traditionally published. So that's on the list as well. And I want to start work on book number 4 because the end of last year, I got another idea for another book, and I don't want that to get pushed too far to the back. So that is something that I want to do as well. Now, as I look at those personal development goals, I am breaking those down into quarters. So the DELF exam, there's a deadline for that. Middle of March, I've got to sit for this exam. So that's going to be a primary focus for me this quarter. Finding a literary agent is a primary focus for me this year. And I've signed up for a course that will help me understand the landscape and how to go about querying agents and all of that. And I am throwing myself into that, as challenging as that is, because it's work that I don't necessarily enjoy doing, but it is something that is required for me to move forward. Since I've been working on this book for as long as I have, really want to get this out to the public because I feel like it can really help and inspire people who are ready to do big, bold things. All right. So that's how I am laying out the personal development goals I've got for myself for this year. Now, like I said, there may be other goals that come up where I feel inspired to do something, and I will take those on because I have learned to listen to my intuition. A lot of times it might not be convenient timing, but strike when the iron's hot, as they say. Now, I've got business goals too. Now, as a solopreneur, there never seem to be enough hours in the day to get everything I need to get done. But on my list is continuing to build my business, right? It's been 3.5 years since I started my business here in France, and I am well pleased with the progress I've made. And there is still work to be done. So, continuing the work that I've started means continuing with the YouTube and the coaching and the sales calls that I have, the information sessions that I added last year. I also, the end of last year, felt a little bit disempowered as a woman with all that seems to be going on in the world. And that seems to be detracting from how powerful women truly are. And in the moments after the election in the United States, I felt like having women's salons, these monthly sessions where each month there's a different topic, and I have a group of 8 or 10 women on a Zoom call, and I ask questions about that specific topic that help women to think through, what their next steps are or how they can feel more empowered around those ideas is something that I want to do. And the first women's salon is supposed to be this month, January of 2025. And having the event, putting on the event is not the thing that it has slowed me down. It is the planning for it, the marketing of it, because that takes time. To have the Zoom call, to write the questions, to facilitate the call is the easy part. And so that is on my list of things to do for first quarter as well. I hope to have that first women's salon later this month, but if not this month, definitely in February. And if you are interested in participating in that, you can go to thecouragecatalyst.com/salon. and sign up for the wait list. All right. So let me know if you're interested, and I will definitely work to get that out to you as soon as possible. So that's another thing around business that I am working on. Additionally, last year in October, I went to Valencia, Spain, and I had an event. It was a two-pronged event. The first part of the event was an in-person meetup with the women who have signed up for my program, the Carefree Expat Incubator Program. It's the second annual. It was the second annual. The first one was in Marseille, and the second one was in Valencia. And we meet up, and there's a little bit of coaching, but a lot of bonding. And then that last day of that event was open to the public. And Christopher Wells, Clever Expat, and I held an in-person workshop. And it was an incredible experience. It was a day filled with insights and learning and connection. And I believe that we will do that again in person this year. But before we do that, we're going to be doing an online workshop in March to talk about how best to downsize for your move abroad. So stay tuned for details around that. We're going to do a live stream later this month in January to talk more about that. But that is going to be happening, I believe, March 22nd of 2025. So stay tuned. So that's another thing that takes precedent in Q1 for me, right? And that's, who knows what the rest of the year holds in terms of online events. But my planning and work around the in-person event, that doesn't have to start until Q2, end of Q2, beginning of Q3. So I can put that off and I can focus on that later. And I think that this idea of focusing is really important, because if we've got a lot on our plates and we try to do it all at once, then we don't get a lot done. We start to feel disappointed with ourselves, and then we can kind of let it all go. And then by the end of the year, you can look back and say, oh, I really didn't get much done. I had a lot planned, but didn't get a lot done. But breaking it down into quarters can be a very good way to do it. And I think the way that I've prioritized the things that are so important for this quarter, for this first quarter, is the things that kind of didn't get done last quarter that I wanted to get done. And I want to make sure they get done this year. So moving on to the next bucket, the fourth bucket is fun, right? So I have gotten so much better at playing as well as working. They say all work and no play makes a Jack a dull boy. I have recognized that, and I think it's been easier here living in France, where work-life balance is so much more balanced. I know that I can have a tendency to work, and when you are running your own business, a business that is supporting you in your life abroad, it can feel really stressful. But taking time for yourself is vital in recharging, so you have the energy to continue on. So under fun, and you might say, fun, is this really fun? But Spanish, learning Spanish. 2 years ago, I started my Spanish language learning journey, and I've come a long way. On my trip to Valencia in October, I was able to communicate at a very basic level, but that was so much more that I could do the year before, and I feel proud of that. The thing is, with my French exam coming up, I have not been able to prioritize that, and I recognize that's not the priority. So after I take my exam, come March or April, I will start doing my daily Pimsleur lessons and get back into the swing of that. I also last year so wanted to go and study Spanish in Spain, maybe in the South, and immerse myself. But as I looked at the calendar, I was like, when in the world was I going to do that? And as I look at the calendar this year, I think, I'm not sure that's going to fit into my calendar this year either. But as I think about 2026, I think that will be a priority for first quarter because it's gotten kicked down the road long enough, and I really want to move the ball forward with my Spanish language skills. So that's how I'm doing it, right? I know I can't do it all. I have to give myself some grace, and I move through it that way. So is what I'm doing and how I'm prioritizing, does that make sense? And is that something that you can see yourself doing? If it is, give this video a thumbs up. Now, in addition to studying Spanish and learning Spanish, I enjoy going to the movies and watching French movies. Now, this is not something that I've always enjoyed. When I first moved here in 2018, I went to the movies a couple of times, and I was so disheartened because I'd walk out of the movie not having understood the bulk of it. They speak fast in the movies, they mumble. It just, there were words I just didn't understand, and so it was really frustrating. But in October of last year, I started going to the movies once a month, and I recognized something, that I understand most of the movie, right? And that feels really good. In addition to my enjoying the movies, it also is helping me with a cultural layer that I don't feel I have even after 7 years here in France. I have not been watching a lot of French TV, and I have to tell you that even when I was living in the US, I was probably a cultural misfit. If you were to ask me about series that people were watching, How to Get Away with Murder or Scandal or whatever the hottest TV series was, I couldn't engage because I wasn't watching that. So it's not unique to my life here in France, but I feel like it's truly important for me to immerse myself in the culture, in movies, in books here in France, because that will just enrich my experience here and help me to connect on a deeper level with the French here. So I know it's important and it's fun. It's fun to watch French movies for me now that I can understand better. Also enjoy going to live plays and shows. And here in my village, we have a theater. And last year I signed up for a season's pass for discounted tickets. So really looking forward and saying, okay, when are these events, blocking my calendar and making sure that I can go to the events that I choose to go to. That is something that's a priority, and it just takes some planning. It's not necessarily a Q1, Q2, Q3, or Q4 thing, but it's a matter of looking forward at the calendar and not having those plays or events crop up on me and I was like, oh, well, I'm booked or I can't go. So that is something that I plan to continue to do as well. All right, so that covers off on fun. With health, like one of the things I do every day, or just about every day, is go on my morning walk. And it's something that I started when I was starting to lose weight again. Back in, 2011, 2012 was when I started to lose weight. And it's a habit that I have continued. So that is something that I'm going to continue. And it's not really anything that I need to prioritize. It's just a habit now. But in addition to that, I would like to go on hikes more. I have a friend that we would go on a hike at least once a month, a longer walk, like 2.5 or 3 hours versus my 40 minutes. So I want to continue that. We've kind of fallen off track with that. I want to get back on track with that. And I'd also, last year and the year before, did Qigong, which is something I enjoy. It really helps to center me. But in the fall of last year, I had to take that off the list of things because I was focused on studying for the exam, which I thought I was going to take in December. And I had the planning for the in-person events in Valencia, and it was just too much. So I took that off my plate and haven't gotten back to that. And I don't see myself doing it first quarter either. But one thing that I tried to pick up last year at the end of November was karate. Now, when I was in the States, I took up karate and I got to a purple belt level. And then it felt too hard for me. It felt like, yeah, I don't think I want to go all the way to black belt. I think I'm good. And I stopped going. And I was satisfied with that. But the end of last year had me feeling, as I said, a little disempowered. And I felt like I needed an outlet. And so I went to a karate class here. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. The dojo is just so beautiful. And the instruction seemed like it would be good. And I went, and it was Thanksgiving evening that I went. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to sign up for this. I have the paperwork to sign up for it. And then the next week, I came down with a cold. And I haven't had a cold in years. And I lost my voice. And then it was Christmas. And I thought, well, I'll go in January. Now it's January, and I think, yeah, this is not the time for you to start something new. You've bought the karate outfit already, right? I've got that sitting on the bed in the spare room, and I truly want to do it, so I'm not going to return it. So I'm thinking that will be a Q2 thing where I start that up. One of the reasons that I need to push that off is I'm going to need to reprogram my schedule, because the nights that karate is are the nights that I hold conversations, information sessions, sales calls, and coaching calls. And so I need to kind of reprogram that, and that will take a little bit of planning. And then once I'm done with the exam, that'll free up a little more time as well. So that is in the category of health. And the final category is relationships. Now, this is something else that I think could fall into fun as well. I think that a lot of people who make a move abroad struggle to make friends. And for me, it's been a long process, a long, slow process. But at this point, I feel like I have some really good, solid friends that I want to continue to maintain and even build deeper connections with. And a couple of times last year, I had luncheons or people over for dinner, which is not something that is the thing I enjoy most doing. But when I have them over and we have a nice meal together, it feels really good. And it's worth the effort. It's worth putting myself out there and outside of my comfort zone to do. And the more I do it, the more fun it is. So I'm committing to having a luncheon quarterly with a group of friends, and or having a movie night. And actually today, this afternoon, I'm having a friend over, and we are going to watch the movie It's a Wonderful Life. Now, I know it's after Christmas. It's a Christmas movie, but I did not get around to watching it over the holidays. And this friend is not American. This is the first time that he will be seeing this. And it will be in French. So it'll be enjoyable for me too, because this will be the first time that I've ever watched it in French. So I commit to doing that as well. That is something that is really important to me. And I think you have to carve out time so that you can continue to build on those connections that you make, so that you can have a well-balanced life. So those are the things that I've got on tap for my 2025. Not to say that I'm not going to be struck by a stroke of inspiration and I won't add something to the list, but that's what it's looking like. And that's why I'm prioritizing. The things that kind of are carryovers are top priority now. The things that are running the business are top priority now. The things that make me feel good and happy, the connections with friends, those are top priorities now. And it's still a lot, right? Because there's not enough hours in the day, but I have gotten to a place where I turn off my computer, I go to bed, I have my list of things that I want to do for the next day, I get up and I do them. And I need to work on getting up a little bit earlier, especially in these winter months when it's darker earlier and it stays dark later in the mornings. That has been a challenge for me. It's been a challenge for me because finally, after 6 years or maybe 5 years, I started getting the hang of fall and saying, oh yeah, well, it's dark out and my body doesn't want to get up, so I need to listen to my body. I've allowed that to happen and I didn't feel lazy, but now it's time maybe for me to set my alarm so that I can get a little more done. All right. So what do you have in store for 2025? What are the things that you know that you want to accomplish this year? Let me know in the comments. Now, if you are ready to start a new life in a foreign country and feel like you could use some help, whether it's learning more about France, you can sign up for an information session where I will answer your questions based on my personal experience of my life here in France. Or maybe you know that you are stuck. There's something that's holding you back. You've wanted to make a move abroad for a while and you can't seem to make the progress that you want. Let 2025 be your year. Schedule a complimentary discovery session with me so that you can kind of unpack what's going on for you, what things should be your next steps, and if our working together could help you get to where you want to go sooner and with more ease. All right. And I'm going to put a link to both of those types of conversations in the description. So feel free to click on those. And I look forward to our conversations. All right. That is all I have for you today. Take care, and I will see you again next time. Bye for now.